Growing up in the church, I always heard a lot from pastors and Sunday school teachers about the importance of pursuing biblical womanhood. And the emphasis was always on keeping the home, becoming a mother, nurturing that gentle and quiet spirit, and stepping aside so that men could lead. And I began to wonder, did biblical womanhood require that I change my personality, my gifts, my relationships, even my calling? And what about those parts of biblical womanhood that we don't like to talk about in Sunday school? Technically speaking, it's biblical for a woman to be forced to marry her rapist. It's biblical for her to be sold by her father to pay off debt. It's biblical for her to be one of many wives, biblical for her to cover her head when she prays. So maybe biblical womanhood isn't as simple as we'd like to think. So this whole notion of biblical womanhood intrigued me enough to put it to the test, to take biblical womanhood literally. And so in true Julie and Julia fashion, I embarked on a radical year-long experiment, a year of biblical womanhood. Sure, this involved honing my domestic skills a la Proverbs 31, but it also involved some really crazy tasks. For instance, Leviticus 15 stipulates exactly how a woman should behave during her period. And so for the first 3 days of mine, I camped out in my front yard while I was considered ceremonially impure, careful not to touch any men, not even my husband. And 1 Corinthians 11 teaches that a woman who prays without her head covered disgraces her head. And so I had to keep a head covering on my person at all times so I'd be ready to cover my head should I pray. Proverbs 31:23 says that a virtuous woman's husband is praised at the city gate. So I took that literally and made a sign and praised my husband at the entrance to our town. I grew out my hair, I learned how to cook, I quit gossiping, I celebrated the Jewish holidays, I even had to babysit a computerized baby. Some of these experiments were fun, some of them were meaningful, some of them were absolutely horrible, but all of them served as a reminder that biblical womanhood can't be boiled down to a list of roles or rules. My year of biblical womanhood changed me, but not in the way you might think. And so a simple question has become more complex. What is biblical womanhood?